What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 106 of the Finale Podcast. Today I got Cittilad and Tyler back on. Guys, how's it going?
Good.
Real good, man.
We're good.
Yeah,
Lucky you down there in Arizona.
I know. I know Minnesota's pretty tough. I was there for Thanksgiving, bro. It was 10 degrees. Like I couldn't do it. But
Well, it's like
I
I,
mean,
negative
I
10 right
wish it was
now.
10 degrees right now.
Yeah, it's like
it's,
negative
it's
10,
in the
negative
negatives
20
right
right now.
now.
Yeah,
Feels like
with
it.
wind.
That wind chill is crazy, I bet. Yeah. Yeah, dude. But I'll be back. I'll be back on Sunday, so I'm gonna
Oh,
have to
for
see
real?
you guys. But yeah, be back on
Yes,
Sunday for
sir.
my flight, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah, nah, Arizona, 70 degrees pretty much every day right now. That's the December weather, but it's gonna get cold by the time I get back, I'm sure. But
Play
yeah,
some
man.
play some outside hoops next week.
Oh, in Minnesota? I don't know about that,
Yes,
but
sir.
gonna have to
Yeah, you
find
got
some
it. It's
indoor
motivate family
gym. I
next
don't
week.
know. Nah, bro. You said 30 or negative 30?
It's gonna be 30.
That's still too cold. We'll figure something out. But all
Bring a
right, guys.
jacket.
Let's. I mean,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I
We'll
won't be
talk
out
off
there.
air. We'll
I
talk
will
off
not
air.
be there.
Biggest takeaways from week 14. I'll start with mine. So watching last week, I think the biggest game, definitely the biggest or highest scoring game I would say on the season, if I can remember that correctly, is the Bills game and the Rams,
Hmm.
Just coming away from that, I mean, obviously the Bills are the Bills, but just the Rams, being sort of under the radar team this year with the injuries they faced, I think they're a dangerous wild card team. Obviously not going to get the bye, but definitely could win the division and end up as one of those dangerous wild card teams. And I mean, the reason I say that it's pretty obvious. Their offense is very good. Matthew Stafford, when he's taken with those two receivers and what Kyron Williams has been able to do this year, I think they're just a really good team that can give a lot of teams matchup problems, as we saw last year in their playoff appearance in Detroit. Almost being able to pull that one off. So I think their offense puts them in pretty much any game, and their defense is serviceable. It's kind of like the same way you think about the Cincinnati Bengals in some way. The Cincinnati Bengals can play with pretty much any team in the league. But the difference between these two teams is the Rams have some defense that they can bring to the table as well. Whereas the Bengals, I mean, that's just been their downfall all years long. So I think the Rams are a dangerous wild card team. There's some others out there that also kind of fit that bill, but that's really my takeaway from seeing them put up 44 points in that game against the Bills.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is that the disappointment on the Eagles offense. There's some turmoil between, AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts supposedly on social media, but I feel like that's just rumors, but I feel like they're, good off field and good on the field, per se as friends. But otherwise, you're used to seeing, Hurts go crazy with those two when they're healthy. You know what I mean? That's always the excuse when they're losing. That one or the others hurt. AJ or Devontae, and then vice versa. But yeah, just a disappointment. Struggling against the worst team, but third worst team in the league right now against the Panthers. But yeah, it's just shockingly that that type of high powered offense when they're healthy is putting up 40.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they've had another situation. It might have been last year where AJ Brown also came out and said, just need to pass the ball a little bit more. Because I
Hmm.
think it might have been after the game they had against us where DeAndre Swift had like a crazy, amount of
Mm-hmm.
yards. But yeah. And then Brandon Graham came out and was just like, they used to be best friends before he came here, and now that might not be the case. And then he took back that statement, and then there's like this, obviously Philly media, they take that and run with it. So,
Hmm.
it's probably something that they want to keep in house. But yeah, I mean, it's tough when you have a player like Saquon Barkley. He takes their team to a new level, but then, there are guys who just want to see the ball. And of course, you want to win at the end of the day, but at the same time, AJ Brown's one of the best receivers in the league when he's getting those targets. So yeah, definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah, I'll actually add to that because I had the Eagles as well. And I think I've had the Eagles pretty consistently all season long, which is weird. Again, for a team that's 11-2, for them to continuously be my biggest disappointment week in and week out. But I just really feel when you look at some of these wins that they've had, and specifically this one last week, um,
Mhm.
like you were saying, against the worst team in the league. Not only that, the Panthers had the lead going into the fourth quarter. You know, like they were very close to losing this football game, and I think if they had a very different conversation would be had about them right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been saying it all year. I feel like they're just not as serious of contenders as their record says. A lot of people say that about the Vikings, but I really see that in a lot of these other teams that are missing a lot of key pieces that I don't think they really thought they'd value as much. And I mean, with the Eagles bringing in Saquon, he's been absolutely incredible. And for that to not even be enough to really elevate them to be like the clear-cut number one team in the league, they're gonna have some problems come playoff time, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'll also say, I mean, I think the Panthers are better than what their record suggests too, just based off their recent games. I think against
Mm,
Kansas City, Tampa Bay, and then obviously last week, if Xavier Legette comes up with that diving catch, I mean that's a totally different ball game at the end there. So I
yep.
think they're also a much improved team as well, but at the same time, it's like those are the sort of games you want to put away, especially at home. And, like you mentioned, the Panthers having the lead at different portions of that game, that is a bit concerning, but, yeah. What's your main takeaway though for you last week?
That was mine. I had the Eagles.
Oh, okay. Eagles as well. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
I'll continue with my second one then, because
So I
um,
could find another one real quick.
no. That's that. I just didn't know if you were just adding on to what Cittilad said, but for mine, I'll go over to the Minnesota side of things. Um, so in episode 100, I said after the game against the Jaguars that JJ McCarthy is going to be the Vikings quarterback next season,
Hmm.
and you know Sam Darnold didn't have his best game, probably his worst game in a Vikings jersey against Jacksonville, who are probably one of the worst teams we've played in this 6 game winning streak. But just seeing what Sam Darnold was able to do. I don't want to be like a prisoner of the moment and then just speak on him when he's having a bad game, and then now after he has his career high game, speak on him highly. But I gotta kind of just say a little apology to Sam Darnold, because I mean now we're in conversations where it's like you really don't know what is the best thing to do moving forward for the Vikings regarding the quarterback situation, because he's a guy that's been trying to find a home for a long time, and you know really found just the perfect match with Kevin O'Connell. Really, the only thing Kevin O'Connell is looking for in a quarterback is accuracy, and we saw last year that that wasn't always the case when you have a guy like Nick Mullins throwing interceptions and a guy like Josh Dobbs who's not primarily a passer. Now, when you get a guy like Sam Darnold, he's completely different than what we've seen in Carolina and New York. So that all's, shown up in these last 6 games where he's beaten some, maybe not the best teams, but he's been really good in some of those games, clutch drives against Chicago, and then
Arizona.
the week after that as well against Arizona. Like, I mean, he's shown up in big moments, and that's kind of a different dimension. And we really saw it right in Minnesota when, of course, on the other side you have a guy that used to play in Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, and we were seeing him extending plays. That one to Justin Jefferson was insane, where he just
Hmm.
was pressured and then just rolled out back to his right and then hit Justin Jefferson wide open, just
Hmm.
giving his receivers a chance. So I think now it just gives a different conversation to what the Vikings are going to do. Of course, they were able to get Daniel Jones as well, who's also on a 1 year deal. So what do the Vikings do moving forward, knowing that, JJ McCarthy's, been injured this whole year with the ACL injury, and you have this guy and Sam Darnold, who at this rate looks like he's going to be the top quarterback on the market and is going to command Baker Mayfield type of money. So, what do you do if you're the Vikings, a team that just literally got out of this quarterback, you know, situation with Kirk Cousins, where they had all their money pretty much going to him, and they already just paid JJ, and you want to bring back Byron Murphy as well. You got these other guys to look into. So it's like I think just all that to say, I mean, Sam Darnold's definitely deserving of some respect on his name for sure.
Yeah, to go off on that, I think Kevin O'Connell is the best quarterback coach there is in the league right now, and also second command Josh McCown, quarterback coach, guiding him through games and such, and you know just guiding him along the as a starting quarterback, but also I feel like as an organization, money wise, financially wise, the best, I think the smartest route is to keep Jones as a backup and starting JJ, and then moving on from Sam, even though he's top five quarterback, and let's be honest, we're the most underhyped team in the league.
Oh yeah.
We're not getting as much coverage as Chiefs, Chargers. You know what I mean? Even the Eagles. And then even the Jets as well. So yeah, just leave it at that. But yeah, just moving on from Sam and just making the smartest choice, developing JJ while he's still on his rookie contract, and then also getting guys back in the lineup, re-signing other players, and then just probably sticking away from Gilmore, and then just having Makai Blackman back in the lineup. So excited for him to come back next season.
Yeah. Not for sure. I mean, um, Wes Phillips, the defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator rather of the Vikings,
Mm-hmm.
he kind of commented on it too. I have the quote pulled up. He said, "We all know that Sam is going to be a sought after type of guy from wherever they may be. Whatever his future ends up being, I know all of us in the building are going to be happy for him no matter where that ends up being. I don't think he has to worry about that anymore. The worry
Mm.
coming in might have been, okay, this might be my opportunity to play. He's past all that. He's proven the doubters and he's proven that he can be a quarterback in this league. So I think the Vikings kind of know where they're at. They know they might be a little bit handicapped in the situation where, yeah, they can afford to bring in Sam Darnold, but that's at the expense of losing some other guys, which has come back to hurt them in the past. And, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is one of his main things coming in here was getting the Vikings out of the situation that Rick Spielman got them into with all these
Mm.
big contracts. So I don't know if that's the thing that they're going to be looking into. I don't think they came into this contract with Sam Darnold thinking that it could be a long-term thing. Of course, with even trading up to get JJ McCarthy, you have to remember that too. So um, I think it's just it's something you have to look into, but you can see that the Vikings, um, it might be kind of unlikely that they're really gonna pursue this sort of guy like seriously because with the Buck
Right.
situation and the Seahawks situation, I mean, the Bucks had nobody else to go to. Post Tom Brady era, Baker Mayfield is a guy that plays really well for them. Like, who else are you going to go to? So that's pretty much a no-brainer. And then the Seahawks, you know, moving on from Russell Wilson and Geno Smith comes in and plays at that level. I mean, what are you going to do at that point? So it's kind of like no-brainer to pay him. Same thing with Giants and Daniel Jones. Who else are you going to bring in to replace Daniel Jones at that time when he just won a playoff game against the Vikings on the road? So with the Viking situation themselves, I mean they're at a luxury because they just drafted a quarterback number 10 overall, and this guy Sam Darnold, who I think Kevin O'Connell actually thought was going to play well, but now he's like going to play into such of a high like deal. His market is crazy. I mean, some of these teams, well, they might not be the best situation for him. When you look at some of these teams that are going to go after him, like the Saints or the Jets, I think you can't compete in terms of the money that they're going to throw at him because they're so much more desperate. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
the Vikings, I think the best thing that they can do is make sure that they have some sort of insurance policy behind JJ McCarthy, and I think that is who Daniel Jones can be, and is why they probably pursued him
Yeah, from a marketing
aggressively.
standpoint on the quarterback value and the financial standpoint, I feel like Sam Darnold's going to be, like I said, from a financial standpoint, it's going to be like a 2013 Brock Osweiler, getting that bag elsewhere, you know. So in comparison, he'll get the bag elsewhere, but quarterback comparison, it's not the same. So Sam exceptionally plays well, for his 1 year contract, but I think I
Mm.
see him going back to, back to the Jets.
Mm,
Mm.
Just that new
Possibility.
organization, new coach,
yeah,
new GM.
Rodgers hangs it up after this year.
dude, I saw
Maybe.
Rogers Vikings rumors.
Mm,
Nope. Uh-uh.
Yeah, I don't want that either. But just the cycle of
Um,
Viking
these
janitorial,
quarterbacks.
CCF.
just just to add to that real quick, I think like you said, Marcos, I think the Vikings kind of just already have their mind made up. and I don't think it's recent. Obviously, I think this goes back to all the way with the original contract with Darnold, with the draft process of getting JJ. Like there really was no world where Darnold was our guy going forward. The only way that changes, obviously, is if we somehow make a Super Bowl run and he gets us a ring. But that's a different conversation for the offseason if that happens. So I think that's the only way there's any conversation about them really pursuing him, especially like you guys were saying with what the market will be for him. I mean, if he's getting a Baker Mayfield like contract, that was what, like 3 years, 100 million, I think it
Hmm.
was. I had it pulled up somewhere here. Yeah,
Yeah,
3 years,
no,
100 million. Vikings aren't matching that. Like, we're not throwing that kind of money for Sam Darnold. And some team will, and that's great. Like he deserves that. He's definitely played to deserve that. But yeah, that's definitely not the type of decision that we would make moving forward. So yeah, I think their minds are already made up. And yeah, I think JJ's our guy.
Yeah, I doubt it'll be in, a 49er situation with Brock Purdy coming in, replacing
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo as, from backup to starter. So
hmm All right, so next topic up, college football playoff and Heisman talk. So I kind of want to let you guys kind of control where we go with this. So we can just start off with the playoff. Like, what are you guys' expectations and predictions for how that should go?
You already know where
yeah,
I'm at.
yeah, with the rankings that came out or the seating that came out um this week, I believe. Yeah, I'm not surprised that Alabama was kicked out just because, the losses that they had against ranked opponents, but also um just SMU playing better overall. But yeah, I'm excited, Arizona State, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Be
excited for
playing
them.
playing either
Some
Texas
new
or Clemson.
faces. Yeah, especially new faces.
I just got to throw out there, professionals everywhere, ESPN, wherever you get your sports news from, they all had ASU as the worst team in the conference. They
Hmm.
were laughable going into this year, you know, not even on anybody's radar. Completely took over the Big 12. Now they're in the college football playoffs, going to bring home the college football championship, and they're still getting
Hey,
disrespected. They're still getting disrespected. People are still saying we are
but
not watching them. Let them sleep.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's been a crazy season for ASU for sure. I think, like you said, nobody was expecting them to be in this position that they're in. But now, of course, having a bye, which is, pretty crazy. Of course, winning
hmm
the Big 12 championship in emphatic fashion, just all season long, just defying the odds. I think it's just impressive that they're in this position. And, now I'm looking at these other teams and I'm seeing, okay, now this is different than the Big 12. Some of these teams, you
Oh,
know,
be cle
absolutely.
it's going to
cliche,
be
made.
it's going to be a little tougher when you have Clemson, who is like top of the ACC for years, and Texas, who first time in the SEC this year, winning or being in the championship, not winning it, but like still they're were a top three ranked team basically most of the year until losing to that game to Georgia in the championship. That's going to be a tough one, depending who comes out of there. And, of course, SEC, ACC, those two teams itself, like it comes down, I would say, the battle of the trenches, where, obviously we talk about Cam Scatterbo a lot when it comes to ASU and, how he's going to thrive. It really relies
Heisman
on him.
snub.
Yeah, Heisman snub, because I mean, he's such a dynamic, just talent, passing
Mhm.
game, running game, really dominated in the Big 12 this year. But is he going to be able to have that same success when he goes against these teams that are, super big in the trenches? I'm looking to see if that's going to be the case. Some of these other teams, Oregon, I think, of course, top team all year long. They deserved it. Georgia, um, winning the championship against Texas. I mean, they deserve it as well. Um, SMU, I'm happy that they got in. I think, the way they lost that game was unfortunate in the ACC championship, but I think they were deserving of it. I think, of course, everybody was thinking that the committee would find a way to include Alabama with their three losses, strength of schedule, all of that. But I think
They always
SMU is a
do.
team that deserved it. Yeah. And Alabama can look at themselves and say like, yeah, we didn't play our best ball this year. We're our most consistent. Had very bad losses. We might have won the big games against Georgia, but we lose games to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. So at the end of the day, they
Mhm.
don't deserve it. Um, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, man. I mean, these are going to be some big time first round games, and obviously keyed in on seeing what happens on ASU side of the bracket, of course. Boise State. A lot of people think that's a easy side of the bracket for a team like Penn State to advance if they just beat SMU and Boise State, getting all the way to the semis. So I think it's a lot of interesting stuff could happen. Of course, Indiana rivalry there with Indiana and Notre Dame. Then one of them just gets the opportunity to play Georgia and get smacked. Probably going to happen. Um, but dude, I like what the playoff brings. You know, brings a lot of competitive late season football, a lot of twists and turns. I mean, probably a month ago, nobody saw ASU in this playoff. I think people were expecting it to be Colorado or something like BYU maybe. But the way everything kind
Colorado.
of the way everything flipped, Colorado losing to Kansas, BYU losing the games they did late in the season, just opened it up for
Bro.
ASU, just controlling their own destiny, winning all these games. It's going to be big time, but that moves us on to the Heisman conversation. So the finalists, off the top of my head, I'm going to try to remember Dylan Gabriel of Oregon, Cam Ward, Miami's quarterback, Travis Hunter, of course, Colorado two-way star, and Ashton Genty, star running back of Boise State. What do you guys have winning this Heisman,
Yeah.
man?
Yeah, my pick not anonymous, but I think it's more majority based. I think it's Travis Hunter. I feel like he's generational talent two way. It's hard to get a two way talent like that. You know, wide receiver, a good wide receiver, and a dominant corner as well. Just playing both sides of the field. You know, almost 100 snaps a game. But I feel like that type of talent doesn't come. You know, very often. You can have a running back that goes 2,000 yards a season. You know, that comes almost. You know, it's expected almost every year. I feel like
Mhm.
as a running back. But yeah, it's just that two-way ability of playing both sides of football and being dominant at both ends of the field. It's just that talent really itself just rises astronomically between that comparison to a one-way running back that
Mhm.
has 30 plus touches a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my take
Yeah.
on that. So
I think this Heisman, I mean, this is no disrespect to Cam Ward or Dylan Gabriel, but I think this Heisman race is really just a two man race as we've all known for a while. Um, and yeah, I gotta agree with what Cittilad was saying. I mean, obviously Genty is doing things that we've never seen before, but Travis Hunter is doing things we've never seen before on both sides of the ball. You know, he's not only locking people down, he's to pull up the numbers. I think he's leading in all receiving categories, right, for Colorado. On top of like
yeah,
just
of course.
pure domination um across the board. So yeah, I think it's gonna be tough because obviously they're gonna make it as entertaining as possible. But yeah, I mean, we probably will never see anything like Travis Hunter again for a very long time, if ever. So we will see other great running backs again. You know, records will be broken. They're broken every year. And that's not to take away from anything, but yeah, we probably will see, we probably won't ever see anything like this again, this kind of performance. So I think it belongs to Travis Hunter.
Hmm.
Yeah. Good cases there for sure. I think Ashton Genty is like, when I think Ashton Genty, I think Adrian Peterson, 2012 Vikings, complete carry job, and the reason why they're in the playoffs. Exactly why AP got the Vikings to the playoffs that year. I think that's why Ashton Genty got Boise State to the playoffs. Just every, defense is geared towards stopping him, and they still find difficulties doing it. I think he's just been, sensational this year. One of the best running back seasons of all time.
Mm,
Definitely deserves to be in the conversation, atop the conversation for sure. And then with Travis Hunter, I mean, just generational talent with what he's been able to do in his whole college career, playing on both sides of the ball, making plays on both sides of the ball. And that's where I'm just like, I don't know if his play style is replicable, where we have seen some star running backs dominate the college scene, and we'll probably see it moving forward. And you don't want to say that to undermine any of Genti's accolades and success this year. Of
Absolutely.
course, when it comes down to winning, that's important, and Genti's in the playoffs and Travis Hunter's not. But I think when you look at the individual talent, the skill set, I think Travis Hunter has what it takes. He has it all. He has the name, the hype coming into the season, and he capitalized on all of that this year with the plays he was able to make and just being a star, not just on one side of the ball, but on the other side of the ball as well. And that's what he has been going back to his days at Jackson State. But Ashton Genty's had an incredible season, dominated. Nobody could stop him still to this day. And I think these two are for sure the clear cut top two. The other twos are just kind of Cam Moore, Dylan Gabriel. They're there, but this is really the
Hmm.
race. And I think if it wasn't Travis Hunter, I think it would have been Genty's pretty easily. But with the season Travis Hunter has had and the success he's had um, carrying that team on both sides of the ball, just being a leader of that team, I think it's just generational stuff what we've seen from him. A lot of guys compare him to Charles Woodson for just doing those things, and I think that's kind of what we talk about with not being able to, see somebody do that every single year. Whereas, we see these running backs all the time just come out and just dominate college football. He's doing it at the smaller school, and it's incredible to see the success and Boise State being in the playoff. Um, that's historical stuff. But I think what he's doing right now, Travis Hunter, that is, I mean, that's something that we might not see for a very long time. So I think that's where he has a separation, and it seems like he is the favorite at this point to win the award. So
Yeah, coming off an injury last season as well.
yeah, man,
Go
I
off
think
of
he got
that.
injured against Colorado State,
Yep.
and he might have had a season-ending injury as well, if I can't remember. But yeah, dude, it's a tough one, but I think yeah, we've seen seasons like Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Reggie Bush. We've seen a lot of these crazy running back seasons, but two-way star level
Yeah.
talent like what he's showing, I mean, that's just really hard to beat. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, there's an argument for both for sure. Uh, moving on, before we get to the upset pick of the week, of course, big
Mm.
college football news as well. Bill Belichick just agreed to join the University of North Carolina Tar Heels football team.
Mm.
Cittilad, let's start with you, man. Of course, this is the guy in New England for so many years now, getting this opportunity in college. It's been talked about for a little bit. This is the next
Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that hiatus played into a factor in this decision making for Bill. I think he had a clear mind on what his decision is going to be, either college or NFL, but he chose wisely, North Carolina. Um, yeah, it's a great gig for Bill, rebuild that college and football team as a whole and just starting from scratch and building his own, ethics and his code of conduct and morale on that team. But yeah, it's exciting for him and then also for, Chapel Hill. Yeah, just happy for the guy, still working. But yeah, all seriousness, yeah, it'll be a good for them as a whole and state of North Carolina.
Yeah,
For Bill as well, just getting back to the coaching coaching ways and his mindset and preparing for football again.
yeah. He said in on December 9th on the Pat McAfee show, he said if I was in a college program, it'd be a pipeline to the NFL for the players that had the ability to play in the NFL. It'd be run like a professional program at the college level. I wouldn't have any doubt that players would be ready for the NFL. So I think he's gonna bring a lot of professionalism, a lot of experienced guys to that program. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform in that, ACC conference. I think he's bringing his son, isn't he? I'm not sure. I think I saw something like that.
D,
Yeah,
yeah, I think he's an offense coordinator somewhere in college.
he's with Washington.
Oh,
I think I saw something. Let's see. Patriots
I
coach.
think so.
Oh, wait, actually, no. Steve Belichick. Oh, actually, that's for Washington. He's a DC at Washington. Steve Belichick's role is part of Bill Belichick's North Carolina negotiations. So, yeah, that's yet to be finalized, but I've definitely heard rumors about that. So, looks like that could be something that happens as well. They already announced something else regarding that. I think it was the GM or something. Did you guys see that?
Mm.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'll find it. Tyler, what's your opinion on it?
On the Bill Belichick situation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think Bill Belichick's a impulse guy. I think this is a decision he's been thinking about for a while. I think the plan obviously was to always go back to coaching. Um, he's obviously no stranger to North Carolina either. Um, his dad was the assistant coach there in the 50s. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about UNC as a football program. Obviously, a lot of what I know typically stems from basketball, but I mean, they obviously have the reputation of a school in itself to do exactly what Bill Belichick's looking for with the program, as far as making that like an NFL pipeline. So who knows? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this turns out.
Yeah, they definitely have the resources, I would say, to be successful and kind of appeal to what he's looking for and like his demands. Because I'm sure he's going to demand a lot out of everybody. Of course, acquire the necessary talent to be competitive in that conference. They haven't been a team that's been, I'd say competitive in a little bit. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to change, guess the outlook of that program and kind of, like you said, turn it into a little bit more of a football school. Of course, can't compete with the Tar Heels basketball program, but kind of just making it a little bit more competitive on that regard. Um, but yeah, so I did see that they got a GM, so I haven't really seen that before. But North Carolina is hiring Michael Lombardi as their GM,
Mm.
joining Bill Belichick. So yeah, interesting to see how this all develops moving forward with any other additions. I see people in the comments mentioning, all these guys like Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, Josh McDaniels, all those guys joining him. But
Mm.
that's a joke. But he could just bring all his NFL guys and, like you said, run like a professional organization. So we'll see if that's the case. But yeah, this is another interesting move in the college football landscape. We've seen guys come to the college football landscape and affect it. Deion Sanders, of course, a couple years ago, he's been successful. Now Bill Belichick coming in, I think he's going to be successful just based off North Carolina being a big program, and you know it might not work, but I think with his expertise, I feel like it could be successful. Um, who's another guy recently? Matt Rule, formerly of Carolina. He also came from Baylor, so I think it's actually I don't know. I feel like when you look at his options in the NFL, I don't think this is a bad option, you know? Because like he was going to be left with like some team like the Las Vegas Raiders where that could have been a
Mm.
disaster, you know? We
Yeah.
we just saw how it worked out for other guys in the past. John Gruden, like high profile move. I think they could have obviously brought him in easily, but I think just looking at the options, it's not that bad to go to a college program just with the way college football is these days. I think, it could actually work out for him. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing how he does. It's not the hardest conference to win, so we'll see if how long it takes to turn it around over there. But uh, lastly, upset pick of the week. What do you guys have for that? Week 15.
Um, Tyler,
I can go with
I'll
mine. I'll
go.
go with mine. I'll go with mine.
Okay.
I'll give you guys some time now, but
Well, I got
mine
mine.
is okay. I got Steelers over Eagles.
Mm.
Hmm.
Steelers Steelers are, of course, the better team on record right now, but underdogs in this game, 5.5 point underdogs. Makes sense. I believe they are going to be going to Philly, but it is the same state. It's a little crosstown rivalry. Both teams are really competitive right now, and I think it's going to be a good environment, I would say, at this game. But Steelers, I like with the way that they're playing right now. Eagles, as we mentioned earlier, not playing the most complete football, especially defensively. I could see them getting exploited on that side of the ball with um, the Steelers and what they bring to the table. I know George Pickens is probably going to be doubtful for this game, but I still see what they've been able to do this year, the Steelers. I think they could have success in this one and, cause some issues for the Eagles defense. But yeah, that's going to be my upset pick.
All right, I got mine. We'll go back to back. I'm gonna go with the leading MVP kind of Josh Allen out of Wyoming. I feel like he's gonna take it on the road. Just that he's gonna bring. Momentum is still on his side. I feel like the Bill just has a little bit of edge in defensive. Players being available to them more than Detroit has right now. I think Detroit has about 18 guys on IR that's injured.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, just putting up 42 in LA and then coming back to the Midwest in the cold, but also they're playing in the dome. So I feel like that factor of Josh Allen being hot, is going to stem that play style that's going to bring on Sunday. So him and Jared Goff's going to go, touchdown for touchdown, and just the better offense is going to win, and the defense, just more guys being available on the Bill side just helps you the better edge for me in my opinion.
Okay.
So I'll pivot because yeah, I had them as well. But I have another one here that I was kind of looking at. The Broncos are 4-point favorites over the Colts. I think the Colts win this game. Um, they've definitely had their ups and downs this year, but I'm not fully sold on the Broncos being as good as their record says they are. And I could just really see this being the game that Anthony Richardson gets going, Jonathan Taylor gets going, and they just have that game that makes fantasy drafters consider drafting them way higher than they should next year again, and then regretting it all over again. So they're due.
This might be AR's first game in the cold. And from Miami,
Jonathan Taylor's
playing
going
in
to
the
run for 200.
playing in the dome, so mile high. So that can all play a factor.
The elements.
6'5", that elevation.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
see.
true. They talk about the altitude all the time. But I think that's all we got, guys, for this episode. Episode 106, the Finale Podcast. Appreciate you guys, as always, coming on the pod. And yeah, any last words we want to get off our chest?
No, it was a good little break. We had Thanksgiving. A little break. 2 week break on the pod, but it's good to be back. Having combos with you guys. So.
Yeah, as always.
Yeah. Vote Skedabu, Heisman, Forks up. Pretty much all I got.
All right. All right, guys. Yeah, episode 106 in the books, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.